Man, oh man, that was a fantastic end of the season. I'm not saying it didn't have heartbreak. I'm saying it was as advertised.
You are Locked On MLB, your daily MLB podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, baseball fans, and welcome to Locked On MLB, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every day. This is the daily podcast. We talk about all of Major League Baseball. I am your host, Paul Francis Sullivan. Please call me Sully. Today's episode is brought to you by our good friends over at FanDuel. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. Download the app today. Follow us at Locked On MLB Pods on Twitter or whatever they call it these days. And on Instagram, I am your pal Sully. I'm at Sully Baseball Podcast on Instagram. But the best way to get a hold of me is right here on the YouTube page. Leave comments on here. I'm doing a live show today, and I see some people already watching me live. Hi. Hey, Everyday Sully listeners. Good to see you. And if you're going to leave a comment, make sure to leave that hashtag Everyday Sully. It helps us find you. Hey, before we get through what was an absolutely manic day of baseball, and telling you a little bit of how I personally enjoyed it. It was, there's the Everyday Sully thing there. Let's go over the trivia question. I didn't expect this one to be as hard. Trivia question. Who is the only hitter in Cleveland baseball history, and I have to phrase it like that, to win a postseason MVP? The only hitter to win a postseason MVP. And keeping in mind, MVPs of the postseason began in the mid-1950s. So who's the only hitter to win a postseason MVP? The strangest guess I got was from Anthony Hutfels, 23-24. Eric Davis, 1990 World Series, Everyday Sully. Here's why that's strange. The Cleveland Indians did not play in the 1990 World Series. Eric Davis never played for Cleveland. He played for Cincinnati. And if he was saying who was the only hitter to win a postseason MVP for the Reds, if he misheard it, well, Pete Rose and Johnny Bench won postseason MVPs for the Reds, but also Eric Davis didn't win the MVP of the 1990 World Series. That was Jose Rio, who was a pitcher. I think the MVP should have gone to either Billy Hatcher or Chris Sabo, but nobody asked me. So there you go. I'm sorry. That was the weirdest guess I got. Muskie Wrestler said Sandy Alomar Jr., which is a phenomenal guess. A phenomenal guess. In fact, if Cleveland had held on to the lead in Game 7 of the 1997 World Series, I have no doubt that Sandy Alomar Jr. would have won the World Series MVP. But they had a closer in Jose Mesa, and yikes. JRT Hughes, who's an Everyday Sully, got it correct. It was Marquise Grissom. Marquise Grissom is the only Cleveland hitter to win a postseason MVP. He did in the 1997 ALCS. The other ones, Oral Hershiser won the 95 ALCS MVP, and Andrew Miller won the 2016 ALCS MVP. And who knows, there may be another name in this year based on how Cleveland did. But before we talk about that spectacular, amazing finish with Cleveland, let's be negative, shall we? Because this is probably the last time I'm going to talk about the Mets for a little bit, unless their firings are happening right now, because, it's never a good thing to bring up Darth Vader in a podcast about baseball. But I started thinking about his line in Return of the Jedi when talking about Obi-Wan Kenobi trying to hide his children from him. And he had the line, "Now his failure is complete." Well, to paraphrase Dorothy baby, now the Mets' failure is complete. I mean, there's not a lot to say. Well, there is some stuff to say. I mean, people have been focusing on the fact when they were the best team in baseball in June, and after that, they've been the third worst team in the National League. But beyond that, after the trade deadline, after the GD trade deadline, there was a moment in early August where the Mets were in first place by themselves. And not long after that, we got wind that Zach Wheeler was not going to pitch for the Phillies again for the rest of the year. And as my cousin Dave pointed out, who's one of the biggest Met fans you'll ever meet, I mean, he remembers Cleon Jones. He remembers Ron Swoboda. He is not a casual Met fan. He said, this happened in a year where the Braves had an off year. Yeah. The Braves stunk this year. It was there for the taking. And file this under yikes. Because forget about, in June, that long stretch they had that were terrible. They rebounded and were in first place in early August. And after that point, they played sub 400 ball. Sub 400. And today, this was a moment where, Howie Rose said the other teams in baseball have all but given them an engraved invitation. They went into today. The Brewers didn't have to put up a fight today. The Brewers could have played Bernie the Brewer. They could have brought in the living members of Happy Days to play. They had clinched everything. They didn't owe baseball a thing. They could have brought in people from the stands to play. And Cincinnati went up 2-0, and Milwaukee showed some heart. And they beat the Reds. And all the Mets had to do was beat the Marlins. And the Marlins didn't score a run in a single inning except for one. And they let up walk after walk after walk. How many Mets were left on base? In fact, this entire series, the Marlins were held scoreless in all but 2 innings. All but 2. Now, granted, one was a 6-run inning, one was a 4-run inning, but every other inning, goose egg, goose egg, goose egg, goose egg. One more win, and the Mets are in. And who knows? Maybe they catch fire like the 2006 Cardinals with a little bit of weight off their back. They go on a run. But no, that's not what happened. That is not what happened at all. I see my comments are coming up. And, Captain Genius says, like one guy pointed out, even the expanded playoffs, the Mets couldn't find the postseason. Jesus Perez brings up, what's the payroll again? A lot. And by the way, I have to make a suggestion to the producers of the radio broadcast for the Mets. It used to be on WFAN. Now it's on, is it WABC? I don't know. It's on my app. It's no longer WFAN. But they always have a bumper that they would play whenever they go to commercial. And it is bum, 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 bum. Let's go, Mets. Dun, 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 dun. And it's really upbeat and really positive. And whenever there's a horrible Mets loss, that bumper always sounds sarcastic. Same one. They don't change it at all. But in the context, Howie Rose is just deflated, and the Mets season is over. It ends on a double play. Once again, you see the Mets collapse, and Howie Rose is just despondent. This has been a failure of a year and a winter of discontent. And suddenly, let's go, Mets. Dun, 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 dun. What they need to do is take a page from the Brady Bunch. Remember the Brady Bunch when they would have like that musical interstitial between scenes? And sometimes it was the upbeat one, but sometimes it was the sad one. Bum, 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 bum. So Jan, they found out that George Glass wasn't real, or Marsh's nose got hit, or, Bobby Brady didn't grow. Whatever the sad thing happened, they would play that. And they need to have a sad, let's go, Mets. Because you can't have the Mets head into a double play. This is one of the greatest collapses in the history of baseball. The highest payroll in the history of baseball will not make it to the postseason. And it was all handed to them. They lost. There's nothing good in the world. Let's go, Mets. Dun, 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 dun. Hey, what happened to the ad? Sorry, folks. This is when you're doing it live. This is what happened. You've probably seen a million ads for hair growth products and thought, sure, like that actually works. There are so many products out there, and it's hard to know which ones are actually going to do anything. That's why you got to give Nutrafol a closer look. Nutrafol is the #1 dermatologist recommended hair growth supplement brand, trusted by over 1.5 million people, and it's not just hype. This is a supplement clinically tested that targets the root causes of thinning and shedding with a proactive approach. Now, Nutrafol is simple to add to your day, 4 pills with a meal, no prescription needed, and it's easy. And whether you're at work or out with your friends or even just getting ready for the morning, Nutrafol gives you more confidence in your daily routine. And you can feel good about it knowing Nutrafol is an NSF certified and backed by peer-reviewed studies. See thicker, stronger hair with less shedding in just 3 to 6 months with Nutrafol. For a limited time, Nutrafol is offering Locked On MLB listeners $10 off your first month subscription and free shipping when you go to Nutrafol.com and enter the promo code Locked On MLB. That's Nutrafol.com, promo code Locked On MLB. Sorry about that glitch there. They're supposed to be playing the ad read there. By the way, that means the Reds are in. You know, the Mets collapsed and the Reds are in. I think it has a lot more to do with the disaster for the Mets than a great run that the Reds went on. But the Reds did what they had to do. They did what they had to do, and they're going to be playing Los Angeles next. Now, I think everyone on the planet Earth is under the impression that the Dodgers are just going to steamroll the Cincinnati. Wano is listening right now. So are the Dodgers lucky enough to face Reds instead of Mets? I'm not sure about that. The Mets have been one of the worst teams in baseball for 2/3 of the season, lest we forget. And Cincinnati, here's one thing Cincinnati has. It has 2 things going for it big time. Now, I am picking Los Angeles to win the wild card series, but it's a best of 3 series. And here's something that the Cincinnati Reds have. They have good pitching. They can pitch. They can match the Dodgers pitching. Here's another thing that the Reds have that the Dodgers don't have, and that is a good bullpen. The Dodgers bullpen is a little bit of a mess right now, and I was kind of stunned when I heard they did a great send-off to Clayton Kershaw, his final regular season game. They had him pitch. They had Freddie Freeman took him out of the game, was in Seattle. They gave him a nice standing ovation, and it was revealed that Clayton Kershaw is not going to be on the wild card roster. What? Not only do I think he should be on the wild card roster, I think he should be the closer. The Dodgers bullpen sucks. And they have a couple, they obviously have their superstar lineup, but the Reds can hit. The Reds pitching can match them. And the Reds have a better bullpen. So if by some miracle the Reds hold on, and again, it's not about over 162 games, it's over 3. And they happen to have a Hall of Famer as the manager in Francona. Now, do I think the Dodgers are going to win? Yes. I'm always going to pick talent. But there is a larger than 0 chance that an Andrew Abbott or a Hunter Green or whomever will pitch and match Yamamoto or match Blake Snell. And suddenly a 2-1 game is going in late. And if they're going to bring in Blake Trinan, who I think should be DFA'd, and the Reds have their pen, which I think is a superior bullpen, there is a not insane chance that the Reds could upset them. And there you go. There you go. I mean, I don't think it's going to happen, but it's not. It's just winning 2 games. Just winning 2. And if the Reds upset them in game 1, they have them on their heels. The fact of the matter is we have, if that happens, by the way, and if the Red Sox beat the Yankees in their series, then the top 3 payrolls in baseball would be out of it before the division series. And people will still be screaming that they need a salary cap because you can't contend. Anyway, Cleveland. Let's hear it for Cleveland, shall we? Cleveland was down, 9.5 games with 16 games left to play, something ridiculous like that. And a lot of this season really, and when they pulled to within a half game of the Yankees and then went on a massive just nosedive in the middle of August, they looked like they were done. They were sub 500. They were sub 500 in late August. Okay? They were even 500 on September 5th. They were 70-70 on September 5th. Think about that. We're into the final month. They're a 500 team. And then they went on to win 17. They went 17 and what was it? They went 18-4 the rest of the way. Now, some people could point out they were beating up teams like the White Sox and the Twins. Yeah, but they also beat the Tigers. They also beat the Rays. They also beat the Rangers, who, by the way, had the best ERA in the American League. We'll talk about the Rangers pretty soon. And today, and they had the walk-off hit by batter the other day. But today, I just love the fact they showed so much heart and so much guts. And they didn't, they had already clinched the division when Boston beat them. And I'm sure there's more than one Red Sox fan who's thinking like, I don't know if I want to face the Yankees right now. What would be the worst thing that happens if they lost to Detroit and were matched up with Cleveland? I know a few Red Sox fans who are saying, I'm not saying I was one of them, but you got to win games. You just win. You have to, when you're on the field, you have to win the games. There you go. But they got the walk-off win the other day. They knew the division was clinched, so they didn't have to do anything. They could just lay down. And they rallied to tie the game. But then Rowdy Tellez hit the home run, and I remember I was listening to the games, and boom. But then they rallied back, and Rugiet hits the walk-off 3-run homer. And I say that's how you celebrate it. Yeah, it was already clinched, but you have the walk-off home run, the wild celebration, Tom Hamilton going bananas. Do I think they're going to go far? I don't know. RPG Man 45, Cleveland wins division, or did Tigers just collapse? I think it's a combination. The Tigers did collapse, but we've seen teams limp into the playoffs. But you need, as I said, the Cleveland won 18-4. And so if the Tigers wound up getting their, what was it? They finished with 87 wins, and the Cleveland was 70-70. If Detroit finished with 87 wins and finished 3 or 4 games ahead of Cleveland, no one would think of this as a collapse. You needed the two things. It's a recipe. Boom. I don't know how Cleveland's going to do. They're a very strange team. We're going to see how they do against Detroit, and so far they have Detroit's number. So I would right now, Skubal's probably going to pitch game 1, but we saw Skubal panicked in his last game against Cleveland, and Cleveland clobbered him, but they all fell down last year in the do-or-die division series game. He was punched in the mouth by Cleveland. So Cleveland's not exactly terrified of Skubal. And Cleveland is finding ways to win the games they need to win. So I'm going to pick Cleveland to win this series, even if Skubal does win game 1. I think it's going to be a tight series, but I'm going to go with Cleveland on that. I just think they're on a roll. I think things are just firing on all cylinders for them. And they didn't look that strong against Boston this weekend either. All the games were pretty close, but still. Now, how will they do against New York? How will they do against Seattle? How will they do against Toronto? I don't know the answer to that. But, there you have it. Good for the Blue Jays, too. I like the fact, the Yankees wound up beating Baltimore. Baltimore didn't show up. I'm sorry. They were making plans for Aruba. I mean, I know it was a close game today, but you could see they were all on, they were all booking their flights. They're on booking.com, used to be a sponsor. Trying to get their hotels lined up. I mean, they just were like, oh, it's still on? Oh, cool. And the Yankees swept them. And the Yankees did what they had to do, but Toronto, hit the grand slam early by Alejandro Kirk. He hit the other home run later. They put their foot on the gas. They weren't waiting for anyone to do their job for them, and they wound up playing well. They wound up winning the games that they were supposed to win, and they won the division. Right now, I think the Yankees are a better team than Toronto. I do. But the playoff standings are based on how you play over 162 games. The Yankees are a very scary team. However, there is a very realistic way of them not even making it through the wild card. They're better than Boston right now, but Boston's starting Crochet. Now, if I were the Yankees, if I were Aaron Boone, I want to end this rumor. I'm not. I would start Rodon game 1 and Fried game 2. That's what I would do. Because Crochet has been terrific, and he's pitched great against the Yankees. And if you wind up having Crochet and Fried locking antlers in a pitcher's duel, there's a real possibility that they could burn the Fried start in a pitcher's duel against Crochet. I think Rodon, who's been pitching very well, thank you very much, he's an all-star and legit one. If you start Rodon game 1 and you steal a win, and Crochet has one bad inning or whatnot, then you throw Fried out with a chance to end the series in 2. If Crochet throws a masterpiece in game 1, you have Fried, who's all but a lock to win game 2, and that forces a game 3. That's what I would do, but I am not Aaron Boone. I think Crochet is going to win his game. I think the Yankees are going to win a game. I think it's going to go to a do-or-die game 3, of which we've seen the Yankees have played outstanding baseball from basically Labor Day on. But we've also seen that every once in a while, they can play a stupid game. And most of the time, those stupid games take place against a contending team. So we will see. The Red Sox have the edge in manager. The Yankees have the edge in lineup, big time. But if somehow the Red Sox pitchers keep the ball in the yard, they'll have a chance. If I were a betting man, I would pick the Yankees. But there is a very clear roadmap. Win game 1 with Crochet and then flip a coin. You can win 1 out of 2 against anybody. But if the Yankees get to Crochet, then the series is over fast. And the Yankees could run the table because the American League, there's no super team. And the Yankees have been playing like a super team as of late, so it very well might be them. I just refuse to call a team that's a wild card team a super team. And they're vulnerable. We do know they can play. They're playing better defense now, and Williams is doing better out of the bullpen, and Bednar has turned out to be a terrific closer, and Schlittler and some of the other pitchers they had, Will Warren, they've all been doing a good job to back up Fried and backing up Rodon. Their depth is pretty good now. We're just talking, if Crochet wins game 1, in the end, we're really only talking about 1 game. And you know what? Anyone can win 1 game. The NFL season is here, and FanDuel has an offer you don't want to miss. Right now, new customers can bet just $5 and get $300 back in bonus bets if you win. That's right. Pick a bet, put down $5. It hits, you unlock 300 tomatoes in bonus bets across the app. You know, no matter how you do your betting, whether it's, your parlays you build up, your player props, you do the live lines during the game, FanDuel has you covered. It makes football even more exciting because it gives you a little something riding on each game. Now, whether you're a casual fan like I am or you're just diving into the stats, FanDuel makes the football game day so much better. So what are you waiting for? Visit FanDuel.com and download the FanDuel app today and get started. Before we wrap up today's show, and this is a great day of baseball, and I have to say, I didn't watch a second of it. I didn't watch 1 second of it. I listened to all of it. The whole time I had my dog with me, my dog Eleanor, and we were basically walking around Pasadena and South Pasadena with her on the leash and me I developed carpal tunnel syndrome flipping between the games. And to me, that's how I love enjoying baseball, especially after COVID. That's how I really enjoy it. I love just flipping between the games, listening to the radio broadcasts and hearing this and hearing that. And that also means when I come back home, I watch the highlights, but like I'm listening to the rally that the Red Sox go on. I'm listening to what's going on with Cleveland, listen to what's going on, the frustration with the Mets and all that, and all the while walking my dog, getting our steps in. And it was a wonderful way to enjoy baseball. That's how I wind up listening to games a lot more than I wind up watching them. That being said, it's kind of a bittersweet day. The best part of baseball is about to take place. This is the dessert. This is the postseason. This is like watching a Rocky movie. Now we're up to the fight. We're watching a Star Wars movie. Now they're going to be trying to raid the Death Star. But a really wonderful and unique quality of baseball is now over for the year. And that is the companion. The teams playing every day. Baseball is unique in that way, in that your team plays 5-6 games a week. One of the reasons I can't get into football. It's only on once a week. And sometimes you need that companionship. And it's not always about winning a title. I spent a good chunk of this summer up in the Bay Area and staying at my mom's house when I'm up there. And she has the Giants game on every night. And she knows the players of all the Giants. And she gets frustrated by this one, and she loves her Mikey Yastrzemski, and she was glad that they traded Camilo Doval because, he always blows those games, and Webb is pitching great, and Adames hit another home run. And I think about the year before, and sometimes the names are different. And for a lot of fan bases, for Met fans, for Rays fans, for Giants fans, for, Angel fans down the way here, for the Braves fans, this is saying goodbye to a bunch of people who you spent your summer with. It's like the end of summer camp. And it's not always about winning titles. It's not always about parades. Some of my fondest memories as a baseball fan has been some of those teams that weren't great, but I got to know the players. Sometimes it's a sense of saying goodbye to certain players, like Charlie Morton pitching his final game of his career, having a trip back with Atlanta. And sometimes it's hopeful that some of these players who are coming up from the minor leagues will give us hope for next year. But either way, throughout the summer, basically from April to now, you want to listen to a game, you need that ball game for the day. You don't have to be glued to every pitch. You have to be glued to every game, but you know it's there when you need it. I love living in California because East Coast games start around 4:00 in the afternoon when they're playing at night, which is right around the time school is over for me and I'm driving home. I'm listening to a game and just having that comfort of it there being there while I'm having dinner or wrapping up my day. And it's not always about a victory. It's about following a team. And sometimes those years where they don't win are the ones that make you a stronger fan and make the years when they do win even better. And that part of the season's now over. And it's worth saluting. The main thing we remember for most years, with very few exceptions, are what is about to happen, the postseason. There are some years where there was an event that an event of the regular season overshadowed the rest of it. Henry Aaron's home run to pass Babe Ruth. I would say Cal Ripken passing Lou Gehrig's record. I think that sort of thing are more memorable than anything that happened in the postseason that year. Although the 95 postseason was pretty great. And a lot of these teams, some of these players are going to be so obscure that in a few years when you put them on Immaculate Grid, you'll get a really low score. But I want to just salute all those teams that didn't make it to the playoffs, but did give their fan base a tremendous amount of friendship over the summer. And there you go. A lot of people are in there, are in the chat here. Captain Genius, Cleveland needs Williams to be Jack Morris for these playoffs. Yeah, that's pretty accurate right now. And Captain Joseph, I guess Boston beats New York and Cleveland beats Detroit. I don't know. We'll see. Yankees have been playing great baseball. So there you go. Then there's some people just talking about some. Hold on, said. There's some Garbino overhyped Cleveland Guardians burn choke throats overrated frauds. There you go. Please, your grammar needs work there. But you know what? You could be right. I mean, Cleveland could have just taken advantage of some teams on the down point. We've seen teams go on great runs. I remember the 2006 Twins went on an incredible run and then wound up getting swept away by Oakland in the division series. And then was a Demon D, line them up, who's next? Yankees World Series champs 2025. Maybe. The Phillies look really, really good. Look really, really good. And someone, Doc and Karen Stoner, said, y'all just scared of the Astros. No team in the playoffs right now are really frightened of a team that failed to make the playoffs. But that's going to bring us to today's trivia question, which is, where did I put it? Right here. Don't hit another wrong button, Sully. Oh, trivia question. What are the only 3 franchises to have never won a home World Series game? There are 3 current franchises who have never won a home World Series game. Put the answer right down below. And by the way, thanks so much for making Locked On MLB your first listen. For your second listen, find the all-new Locked On MLB Game Night, every game, every night, until a World Series champion crown. Could be the Yankees, could be Cleveland, could be Seattle, could be San Diego, could be Chicago. I don't know. Neither did you. Did you pick the Texas Rangers a few years ago? Get local analysis on a national scale. Find MLB Game Night on Locked On MLB on YouTube or wherever you listen to your podcast. Tomorrow, we're going to be breaking down who owned baseball for the full year and my own picks for the postseason. But right now, talking about the final game of the season. Goodbye, Mets. Hello, Ohio. Will this be the Yankee year? Will it be Toronto's year? Does Boston have a solution? What the heck are the Dodgers doing with their bullpen? And goodbye to the regular season and that companionship. This has been Locked On MLB. I am your host, Paul Francis Sullivan. Please call me Sully.